Hello again everybody, I hope you're all well, and this time we're going to be looking at some more football shirts that have been recently released. So the last video we looked at the Premier League home shirts. This time we're going to be going to Germany. Instead of looking at just the top division, we're going to look at the top three divisions. So I'm going to quickly run through them. So I have ranked them this time. We're going to be seeing them in rank order. Of course, 1 being terrible, 10 being amazing. And we're just going to see them basically based on that. Of course, it's my own opinions, etc. And it's only going to be based on sort of the images that I have. So I've not seen a full version of them sort of back to front on some of them. Obviously, I've not seen them in person either. So, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. The ratings are probably going to be close enough. But I'm very keen to see what you guys think. If you're going to be getting some German shirts at some point, which I probably think you probably will do, you know, there's a lot of teams here. Of course, there are some teams that have sort of second teams. I'll just take the major team as the version because I suspect they'll be wearing effectively the same shirt, just with maybe a slightly different crest, or I don't know how it works. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So firstly, we're going to jump into it with FC Magdeburg. So this is a rating out of 4. So there's nothing less than that. So I'll say that there's no terrible shirts. But like for this one in an instance, for me there's too many pinstripes. Like I don't mind a pinstripe, it's really nice, especially when it's certainly done. I just think this one there's too much going on, and I'm not a huge fan of the sort of the white shoulders and sort of sleeves there. It just sort of way it intersects with the sponsors. It's not my thing. So next we have Nuremberg. This is kind of just a very boring sort of shirt design. I'm not a huge fan of this version of red. This sort of more maroony option. Again, the black and maroon doesn't necessarily work for me. Next we have Freiburg. I think for me it's just the sponsor. It's just too much. It's just right in your face. It's sort of bulging with this white background. I quite like the little faded bit at the bottom, but these sort of pinstripes, well, not really pinstripes, they're quite thick, and the fact that they're not sort of separated a bit, I don't quite get that. So against that one. Then we have Union Berlin. Again, this is another 4 rated shirt. I just think it's pretty bland. When it comes to red and white shirts, it's just so easy just to do this, and for me as a colour combination, it's not my favourite thing. You're going to see that a lot of these shirts towards the bottom are red. I think it's just conditioning. Being a Chelsea fan, you kind of feel like, you know, Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool are all red. Though I suppose the first one I showed you is a blue one, so it's not totally unbiased there. Next we have another one here, is red and black, so it's a Capelli Sport one, Victoria Köln. I just feel like maybe it's possibly the image quality is not great, but there's just nothing really that stands out about it. It's fine, but there's better ways of doing this probably. So we're into 5 now. So we're average. This means it's an okay shirt. It's good. It's like if you get it, fine, whatever. There's no problems. This is FC Heidenheim. It's red, it's blue, it's fine. It's got this white trim, which is quite cool. I think it's better than having a blue one, and you've got your vertical stripes. It's just okay. FC Kaiserslautern, this one, I kind of like the little motif at the bottom there, it's like embossed. That's quite nice, but everything else looks a bit plain. You've got your cuffs, which is a lot of your white. I like the invisible collar. It's just a sponsor, maybe a little bit too long or something. I don't know, small little details, I suppose. Bayern Munich home shirt just doesn't do anything for me at all. And maybe it's the opposite, because in pinstripes going horizontally, I think there's just too many of them, especially where they're intersecting with the sponsor. To be honest, there's not that many Bayern Munich home shirts that I particularly care for. Probably the one when they won the Champions League before, when Robben's got the winner. But yeah, it's not for me, that one. Erzgebirge Au. So this one is quite interesting with the way that they've got the white breaking up the purple body there and the cuffs. But other than that, it's just a really simple shirt. Yes, purple's quite cool. The collar's okay, but it's just run-of-the-mill, I'd say. St. Pauli, yes, it's another 5, this one. Yes, it's a brown shirt. I'm not somebody who totally hates brown for the sake of it being brown, even though it's not the most amazing colour. It's just the fact that they've sort of... I hate it when teams have like the stitching or the hems or whatever, and they cover it with a slightly lighter or darker version of the main body. Doesn't really work for me. I do like the collar bit though. That one's quite nice, but other than that, it's okay. It's a 5. Fortuna Dusseldorf, probably not too dissimilar to some of the previous red and white ones. I think this one is just a little bit more pleasing on the eye. I think it's because there's not as many of them, and it's a little bit more pinstriped, and the fact that it doesn't intersect with the sponsor, it kind of works that way. So I've just given it a 5. It's still not great, but it's fine. SC Verl, another 5 one here. I think looking at its image, does it look a little not quite black, those sort of stripes? Maybe more anthracite grey. I think it's quite cool. I like the way the sponsor sort of fits in that white bit there. It's a nice shirt. You know, I wouldn't say no, but I'd probably try and get it as cheap as I could. SV Meppen, a home shirt, another 5. I feel like if you were like a computer program, AI or something, and just typed in football shirt. This is the sort of football shirt you'd get. It's just very typical. You've got your blue body, you've got your white sort of cuffs there. I like the side banding being white, that's quite nice. Collar, would that be better to have a bit more white on the front? Possibly, but it's pretty simple. SC Sandhausen, so they're with Macron now. It's not too bad. I was probably maybe give it a 5.5 possibly, but I like the sort of the cuffs there, slightly different colour. These sort of black horizontal stripes, quite nice the way they sort of separate between the crest and the logos. It's okay, the colour, it's okay. Now we have Osnabrück, they're with Umbro. Of course, it's your purple shirt, which is quite cool. I quite like that. But it's just certainly on this image, these cuffs and this collar look quite thick. I don't know if that's going to be like that in person, but it kind of detracts from it. And the sponsor is kind of a bit too much in your face. So I'm just going to give it a 5. Now we have Waldorf Mannheim. So it's a Capelli shirt. This one's a little bit better because I feel like, look at the image, there's sort of some sort of embossed vertical stripes running down within the main vertical stripes. It's quite cool. Maybe if I get a better image, it might look a little bit even better. Now we have Schalke 04. This one is just your typical Schalke shirt, really. Adidas shirt. You've got this sort of white, which runs into the armpits, possibly down the sides also. Collar's quite cool, but other than that, it's kind of blue. There definitely have been better Schalke home shirts, so that'll be recent memory. Now we have a 6, so this will go into the 6 rated shirts. FC Köln Hummel shirt. I quite like the way that they've done the separation of the red and the white, and it's not just solid. They've sort of done this little interesting design at the bottom there. Collar's quite cool, and I quite like the fact that it's separated the red and white on the sleeves this time. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a 6. SC Saarbrücken, this one's quite nice. I like the way the yellow and the blue and the black, it's just complementing each other really well. And I just love that Adidas logo in yellow. Just something about it. It's just amazing. Small little things like that can really make a shirt, especially on the cuffs as well. Would it be better with the sponsor being yellow? I don't know, possibly. But yeah, it's just a nice shirt. I mean, in Bielefeld, Macron shirt, I quite like this one with regards to sort of this interesting black, white, and I presume would be partly blue, where they've done the colours there. And then the cuffs are quite cool. Collar's really nice. It's just going to be a nice finish, I'm sure. Bayer Leverkusen with Castor. This one, I've had to give it a little bit higher because looking at it, I thought, it looks okay, but I think there is a subtle graphic, possibly like a Soundwave styling, which I've not can't really make out on this image, but maybe in person it might look a little bit better. So, I'm just going to give it a 6 because I'm sure it's probably okay. Eintracht Frankfurt home shirt. It's this Nike template. I think Germany have done probably the best out of anyone for this Nike template. It's a white shirt, so it's a little bit difficult for it to stand out because they are rather plain, but this one's quite clean, it's quite nice. I like the collar, I like the cuffs there. It's definitely worthy of a 6. Ingolstadt, this is another 6. I like the way that they've done this sort of black band, separate the crest and the manufacturing logo, and then you've got these sort of vertical stripes running to the walls at the bottom then. That's a nice little approach. Puma have done that a few times with shirts here. You'll see it coming further up in the list as well. And of course, you've got your black trims there. Hallischer FC home shirt. So I suppose you might think, how's this a 6? This is maybe a 5 or possibly even a 4. I don't know. It's a subtle pattern. It's just quite nice. It just sort of, I don't know, something jumps out at me. It sort of appeals to me. It's, yeah, maybe you could argue it to be a 5, but I don't know. Just sometimes you just can't explain quite why, but it's okay. Hannover 96, the reason why this one's rated higher is possibly just because of this sort of faded checkerboard effect that runs towards the bottom. It looks really, really nice. Collar looks quite cool also. It's Macron, it's going to be a good finish, but yeah, that bottom bit's quite interesting. Rot-Weiss Essen, so this one is a really simple shirt, but sometimes the really simple shirts do shine through the best. It's white, it has these red trims. I like the collar. I always like it a little bit when it's there, so the red there. It's just a really clean shirt. It's nice. I'd try and get one of these, I think. Beirut, something. I don't know how you quite pronounce that one, but they're sort of new to the third division. It's a Capelli Sport one. I've gone for it because it's yellow. It's quite cool. We've got sort of pinstripes again, a little bit more subtle. It's just nice. I like the sort of black band around the sleeves. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. And Oldenburg, this one, I've gone for it mainly because I can't quite tell from this image, but looking at the shoulders, there's possibly something. Is it stitching? I don't know quite what it will be. That's quite cool, and I quite like the colour. And is it sort of a mixture of 2 tones, possibly? Maybe it's just the way the image has been shot. But yeah, I thought I'd give this one a 6. VfL Bochum with Mitsuno trying to make their return back into Europe. Don't quite know what the design is. It's an interesting design, but I think it stands out okay. It's nice, so I'm just going to give it a 6 there. Now we have Veerten Wiesbaden, another Capelli shirt. This one is probably the better one because you've got this sort of, I don't know if it's Capelli sort of styling, but that's in gold. That's quite nice. The Capelli logo's in gold. You've got this red band and it separates for the sponsor, black, and you've got the red on the cuffs. So yeah, I think that's definitely worthy of a 6. Now we have SC Paderborn, a 6. I think this is really, really nice. It's just sort of the blue and the black stripes. This is a nice way to do it. Sponsor, maybe a little bit too high, a little bit further down, it's quite nice. Collar's cool. The cuffs look a little bit tighter, which I think that's kind of the thing with Salah. But yeah, it's just a nice design, that one. So we're into the 7 rated shirts now. So we're starting with 1860 Munich home shirt. It's maybe a little bit different to what you'd expect for an 1860 shirt, but I think it's nice. I think I like the blue being a little bit more subtle. It's not quite as in your face. And you've got these sort of vertical, sort of horizontal, sort of dashed sort of stripes going across there. Yeah, it's just a nice little shirt. Borussia Dortmund, this one's quite cool. It's mainly here because of the sort of subtle pattern that's sort of within the black sort of vertical stripes going down there. Now you do have this sponsor, which is really difficult to sort of integrate this into a shirt, but I think the way they've kind of done it kind of works. I mean, they've really had to sort of separate and sort of just fit it in, but it's fine. It's not too bad. Borussia Mönchengladbach, again, similar to the way they sort of integrated the sponsor with this sort of, I don't know, black and green vertical band that runs from top to bottom with the gap. Other than that, it's white. It just sort of, it's nice. I like the green. It's just the green that really stands out for this one. I think this one's a really cool shirt. Darmstadt 98, craft manufactured shirt, and it's interesting. You've got the navy at the top, and then you've got this sort of lighter blue at the bottom. Then you've got this random thicker white line, and then a bit of the light blue, and then you've got the main body bit where you've got the sponsor and this interesting sort of pattern, which has the lighter blue and the navy there. I think it's cool. Every time I see it, I go, yeah, I don't mind that. FC Augsburg. So this one kind of reminds me of the Freiburg shirt, but sort of rotated like 90 degrees. I think it's because it's not quite in your face. I love the sort of, is it a green? I think it's sort of the darker green, and then I think possibly the sponsor, it's a little bit difficult to fit this in. Maybe you would have got rid of those sort of bands where the sponsor is, lower it down a little bit. Could that have been better? Possibly, but you know, it's quite interesting. It's sort of like a doubled up version, parallel bars running across, so it's not too bad. FC Zwaku, this one is, it's nice. It's sort of the Puma half and half once again. So you've got the red band, sort of pretty much the top half, and then at the bottom you've got your sort of red and white stripes. I think this is the way you do red and white stripes, and you've got that sort of, I don't know, is it a grey sort of separating band? Kind of reminds you, of course, of the logo itself. Now, Hansa Rostock, this one is here purely because it's kind of this interesting pattern. It's almost like animal camouflage, sort of tiger stripe sort of approach. It's cool. I like the neckline as well. It's got that sort of reversed sort of neck there, the collar, should we say, and then you got the white on the cuffs. It's quite cool. Maybe this is what I would like to add of theirs to my collection. Jan Regensburg. So again, I'm not quite sure what this design really is meant to sort of invoke or what it's meant to mean. It's a Salah shirt. For some reason I like the Netto sponsor. But you got the red on the cuffs, you got red on the neckline. It's just nice. I think the colours just really work together. It's the yellow that just pops off, I think. 7 still, we've got Mainz. This one is a Kappa shirt, not too many of those floating around in Germany, mainly because you've got the golden sort of cuffs, and then you've also got the gold on the back of the neckline, and you've got this interesting sort of, I don't know, you say half and half, swap sort of design. You've got your darker red and your lighter red, so I think that's not too bad. RB Leipzig, so I feel like this is going to be one of those shirts where you kind of have to see it in person for it to decide whether or not it actually is better or worse. Still giving it a 7 because you've got this sort of ball, sort of, I don't know, like a sponge print somewhere on it. It's that Nike template again. It's fine, but I think if I get a chance to see it in person, possibly it might appear in the UK, then we'll see and review it from there. Daniel Dresden, this one is here purely because of the cuffs and sort of, I suppose, that neckline. The trims, look at that. I love the detailing of that. Sort of the way that they sort of change the colour. Really, really nice. It's yellow. Yellow shirts are always very nice. And it's almost like you got a subtle, don't know, embossed little sort of horizontals going across there. It's just a really clean shirt. So yeah, that's beautiful. Now we're at 8 rated shirts. So this one I was debating, is it a 7 or is it 8? Of course, it's Hoffenheim's home shirt. You've got this sort of, I suppose you could say it's like a wave effect. Is it meant to be waves? Is it like a mountain range? Is it the sting of some jellyfish? I don't know. Or is it not mean to mean anything and it's just a random load of stuff just flying across the front? It's quite cool. I think it's interesting. It's blue, so it's always going to help. Yeah, so I'm just going to give it an 8 because it's different. Eintracht Braunschweig. So this one's here because I just like the craziness of it. It kind of reminds me of the Borussia Dortmund shirt or this season's Rotherham away shirt. I think I'd be interested to see, is this exactly how the sponsor's going to fit? Because it looks like it just fits nicely in the blue, but it feels like it's quite small. So is it going to be a little bit bigger? I don't know, possibly. But, you know, it's just an interesting design. So it's quite cool. Greuther Fürth. So this one is in for a wrong reason mainly. You've got this sort of shamrock design, which is of course the crest, but it's sort of subtly probably embossed inside the sort of green horizontals there, and I like the way that the sponsor fits in the main white body, and also the fact that the white sort of horizontal stripe is offset to the one of the main body. That's quite a nice little sort of addition there, and then sort of I like the sort of just a bit of green there. That's really, really nice. So it's a good effort from Puma there. Hamburg, I don't know what it is. I keep looking at this. It's not particularly amazing. There's not much going on, but it's just really, really nice. I like the way that they've got this sort of blacky, dark navy. Then you've got the traditional blue, and then you've got the white. The sponsor fits in really nice. I like the way it sort of just goes over a little bit into the sleeves. It's just a really, really nice shirt. I do need a Hamburg shirt. Could this be the one I get? Possibly. I think there's a chance I better see it in person in the UK, so we'll get to review it at that point. Hertha Berlin. So I think this is the best version of this template that I have seen. It's really, really nice, mainly because you've got these interesting, really subtle patterns, shapes that run down in the blue sort of vertical stripes. It's really, really nice. It's kind of subtle, very difficult to tell. I like the way the sort of the orange of the sponsor sort of pops also, and the way that the crest sort of fits nicely as well. You've got the black sort of collar and the cuffs there. I think it's just really, really nice. It's just a good way of doing this shirt. Holstein Kiel. This is a great shirt. Again, it comes down to mainly the colours and also the fact that they're breaking it up. I quite clearly see there's a theme going on here. You've got your navy, your white, your red, and your lighter blue, and then it sort of follows its way up a little bit on the cuffs there with your red and your lighter blue, the way the sponsor fits in nicely. It's just cool. Yeah, it's really nice. Karlsruhe, so it's in the Macron shirt. It's got this sort of band sort of offset a little bit with what I can only suspect are probably previous versions, iterations of the club's crest. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know they did this with Udinese, with that beautiful black third shirt from last season, which I would love to grab to my collection if I can find one of those, sort of going on clearance somewhere. It's really, really nice. I like the sort of white on the neckline there, and the cuffs kind of look cool as well. So that's a nice shirt. Duisburg. So this one reminds me of like a classic old style shirt. You've got the sponsor, which sort of fits in the sort of extended white horizontal stripe. You've got it just sort of obviously runs down the cuffs there. Also, it's just a representation of the crest because the crest has that design. It's just really nice. Sometimes simple ones they just work. This one, Elzeburg. Yeah, it's just that gold. Like it's just like they've gone a little bit of paint. Boop, there we go. Gold, black, and then kind of it really. It's really simple, but I don't know. Like I've never seen that on a shirt before. Is there any other teams that do this? Possibly. I want to grab one of these. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it because it is very simple. But just seeing that gold little sort of splodge on it, I don't know. Every time I see it, I think, yeah, that's pretty cool. Werder Bremen, it's an Umbro shirt. You can definitely tell the Umbro shirt. You've got a subtle bit with the diamonds in there. I like the way they've done a little bit of green on the cuffs there. Interesting design. You don't see it floating around. It's going to be very bespoke to Werder Bremen. I think it's just a really nice shirt. 8 out of 10. Definitely for that one. Now we're going to jump to 9. It, of course, is Wolfsburg. It's their lime, luminous green effort. It is that Nike template once again, but instead of sort of cutting off around the shoulders and the sleeves, they've gone all the way to the top, which I think probably was for the best. Maybe seeing it in the navy, would that have been better? I don't know, possibly. Who knows? I think the only thing that I would say negative is this one. Sometimes the crest does get a little bit lost because it's just so green. But yeah, it's really, really nice. And then finally, we have a 10. It's not often I give a 10, but on occasions, I think this one definitely warrants it. Of course, it's the Stuttgart home shirt. It's got all of this sort of building and landscape iconography from the city of Stuttgart, I could only imagine. The fact that the Mercedes sort of Benz sort of circular logo goes nicely in the red, which sort of extends above. And then you've also got a little bit on the cuffs as well. I thought it's quite subtle. It's just really nice. The white and the red on this one works really well as well. It's just beautiful. I do need a Stuttgart shirt. I may add this one. Or I may add the away shirt, which in my opinion also is a 10 out of 10. They've done really well. The third shirt, it's not as good, but I mean, who needs the third shirt to be as good when these two are beautiful? But that is it. That is every single German home shirt from the top 3 divisions. There are some great shirts there, possibly some shirts that you think maybe should be rated higher, possibly some shirts that you think should be rated a little bit lower. Anyway, is there your team in that you support? How do you feel about your team's home shirts? And as a collector, are there any of these that you're going to be looking out to buy? There's probably quite a number of shirts there that I still need to add to my collection. I do have quite a number of German teams, but probably still need at the very least half of them to add to my collection. So probably going to grab a few, probably going to grab a Stuttgart one at some point. Anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching my video. I suppose drop a subscription if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.